Welcome, everybody, to the Advanced Selling Podcast, the longest-running sales training podcast in the history of podcasts. My name is Bryan Neal.
My name is Bill Caskey.
We are here every week for your listening enjoyment to give you a little boost in your sales life. For you long-term, lifetime long listeners, 18 years plus, Happy New Year. Welcome back. We're glad you're here. We're recording this back in January of 2025. And if you're brand new, a lot of people do New Year's resolutions and they think, I'm going to up my sales game. People say, I'm going to start listening to podcasts. Then they Google sales podcast, and then they come across the Advanced Selling Podcast, and they find us that way. So we're glad if you're new, you're here. You have about 1,000 episodes to catch up on, but it shouldn't take long if you go 2 times speed.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I've talked to some people over the holidays that either emailed in or something, and they said they were just starting and they were starting at the beginning. And I said, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Not because we were so bad at the beginning. I don't know if we were or not. We probably were, but it's just, bring it. Because we're talking about things today differently than we talked about then. Would you agree?
100%.
I mean, we're going to a topic today about artificial intelligence. We never didn't know what that was than 3 years ago. So.
No, not in 09. We wouldn't have been talking about AI in 09. If we would have been, we probably wouldn't be sitting here. You'd probably, that NVIDIA guy. How do we miss that? Or is it NVIDIA? How do you say that?
NVIDIA.
Yeah. He was ahead of his time, that guy.
Yeah, it's, well, you want to get into the topic?
We'll tell you. We're going to do AI topic, but you said you had a little story you wanted to share first.
Yeah. You know how sometimes you talk a lot. I don't mean that as a slight, but and I talk a lot, and we do podcasts, we do training, and sometimes things slip out of your mouth, and right when they're slipping out, it's like you can't stop them. Yes. And you say something that's really dumb, like you try to be funny and it wasn't. I mean, I was I had that experience the other day. I went to Hardee's. I'm not a fast food guy, but for some reason, some days a Hardee's sausage biscuit sounds good. I haven't had one for a year. I mean, literally it's been a year.
Yeah.
Well, I stopped it was 11 o'clock. And so as I pulled up, I realized there was all the lunch menu was up and the breakfast was not. And I said, are you still serving breakfast? And she goes, no, sir, we stopped at 10 o'clock. And I said, oh, God. Well, I'm going to leave then. I'm just going to leave. I'm going to leave, and I don't want anything. And I thought, did she really need to know that? I mean, it's sort of an implied, don't chase me.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me that sausage biscuit.
Like, she calls her manager. She's like, hey, boss, there's a guy in the driveway who's threatening to leave. He's threatening to leave because it's past 10 o'clock. We're not serving sausage biscuits. He just told me. What do you want me to say? Well, I'm going to leave. I'll show you, Hardee's.
Yeah.
Has the stock dropped? Have they gone out of business?
But there's been some minions following me around, and I think it's a Hardy minion.
Oh, that's funny. I love Hardee's, and I haven't been to Hardee's year. I can't tell you.
It's my favorite time.
It's so good. It's like a little hidden gem, but people don't. It's not kind of top of everybody's list.
It's not. They don't do any. I don't ever see them advertise. Of course, maybe I'm not their ideal customer. But the good thing about that experience was I hadn't even made it to the end of the driveway yet to get out of the Hardee's lot. Yeah. And I thought, oh, this is a podcast topic.
We got it. We got them right there. Did you look in your rearview mirror? Were they chasing you? Don't leave. Don't leave. Come back. We'll make you a biscuit. I'm sorry. We still have a couple left that you can have mine. I was saving it for later for my break, but you can have it, Bill.
You're obviously upset.
Don't leave.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving now.
You got him. You showed Hardee's.
I'm out of here.
You showed him. Okay, well, I'm just going to tell you something. I'm just so you know, I want you to know I'm leaving. I love that. That's really funny. Been there, done that. Oh, gosh.
You can tell us a story about how something slipped out of your mouth.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many. Let's see. So we're going to talk about AI. And, Bill and I, we always try to avoid the cliche topics because you're like, oh, everybody's going to talk about AI. And everyone's writing a book on AI. Until such point where it becomes woven into the fabric of what we do. And I am under the belief at this point that AI is, whether you know it or not, woven into the fabric of how we're going to live our life, the world. And it's only going to continue fast. And so if you're a salesperson, today's episode is not about the debate of whether it's going to take our jobs and all that baloney. this is a tactical, okay, you're sitting here listening to us say this and you're going, I don't even have ChatGPT or one of the AIs on my app. I don't have an app. I've never even logged in.
Yeah.
This is going to be a what to do episode for AI, in our opinions. And Bill, where are you on the spectrum? You're a user, yeah?
I'm an A on the AI spectrum. I'm probably at A.
Yeah.
No, I think the way you teed it up is good. And it's one of those topics that everybody has such a varied perspective on. I was on a call the other day with a lady. It was in a group call, and she sold AI. I mean, she was selling AI. I don't know how you sell AI to companies, but there's systems, and she was a really sharp lady. And one of the guys on the call said something about how he uses AI, and she said, "Really? I never knew you could do that." And so even the experts, I think, are not necessarily, it's not like one of those things that you got to build the groundwork, then you go here, then you go here. And by the time you get here, you don't need any help from anybody else. It's so patchy that you might be at a high level, but you still don't know what's going on underneath that. And so I think the way you teed that up is good. Don't worry about whether you're a scholar in AI or a newbie. It could be that you hear something today that you haven't thought about.
That's it. I think that's it. So let's get started. A couple of easy, quick things. I think you use a different. So I use ChatGPT, and there's a free version, and then there's a premium version. The premium version is $19.95 a month, I think. So I just upgraded to the premium version over the holiday break. I was using the free version to practice with.
Well, that's good. That's a big step. Right?
Well,
$20 a month.
Here's the thing, though. I do think it is, because and I'm not like bragging here, but I'm committing money.
Yeah.
When you commit money, all of a sudden, and it's your money, you're like, okay, I'm going to make this work. It's just like people that have LinkedIn regular, LinkedIn premium. Well, if you pay for LinkedIn premium yourself, I think you're more apt to try to get something out of it, or you just set money on fire. So
what's the saying? Those who pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you pay, even if it's $20 a month, I've got all my clients on the 20. I use Claude, which is I'm platform agnostic. I don't care what it's they're all going to be similar. But I agree that just get the 20. You can always cancel it.
Right. Exactly. Now, why do you use Claude over ChatGPT?
I use it because I find it to be better at the written word and outlining content, videos, podcasts, writing articles. I have a thought in my brain and I put it out there. Plus, I just got started on Claude too. So I think rather than dipping into 17 different ones, I committed that, no, I'm going to learn this. And Anthropic, Amazon has a lot of money in Anthropic, who owns Claude. And I think you're going to hear a lot more about Anthropic in the next year or so. So I just hooked my wagon to that, but
I like it.
I don't wear Claude t-shirts around. I mean, I'm not that committed to the brand.
I think we should. Did you, sidebar, when you were young, did you call them dirt clods or clogs? When you threw dirt, how do you spell that?
I don't know. I used to think it was clogs.
I always thought it was Claude. I was probably wrong.
Dirt clod.
My kids don't know that word. We used when we were kids though. We go to construction site. We throw. We're gonna tell our buddies with dirt clods. I'm like, what is it? And if you're our age, you're laughing. If you're young, like, what are they talking about? But anyone who's 40 and above, they know dirt clod.
I remember there was a guy locally named Jim Ingledow. He just died. Ingledow Nursery, and he just moved into my neighborhood, and there was a lot of construction. I remember the first time we ever went out to play, he pelted me with this right in the temple. Oh my God! I ran home crying. I don't know. And I've never forgiven him, but I did.
No, but he's passed. Good for you. Sorry, a little digression there. But I think the first lesson you're hearing from me and Bill is there's ChatGPT, there's Claude, there are others.
Yeah.
Pick a brand and stick with it. Like Bill's doing Claude, I'm doing ChatGPT. There's no right and wrong in those.
No.
It is good though to stay in one versus dabble, like you said, Bill. I don't think dabbling in 17 is a good idea at this point.
Yeah. So here's my first recommendation. If you're just getting into this, there's a lot of YouTube videos, a lot on AI. Again, if you're a Claude user or ChatGPT, go down that path, go down that trail, and just watch all you can. Have it in front of you when you're watching these videos. Have it open and give it some prompts and practice and just play. You have to play with
Yeah.
it. Or if you're just trying to read about it, it's if you want to learn how to build a studio, you build a studio. You don't read about building a studio. At some point,
Yes.
you have to build it. You have to buy something and have to paint and all that. So I think it's the same thing here. Just devote time to playing around with these tools.
See, there's a good thing to have a little ChatGPT time block that I'm guessing most of our listeners don't have on their calendar. If you're listening to this, you're like, yeah, I don't have that. Well, after today's episode, you should do that. Yeah. Even if it's 20 or 30 good coffee shop stuff, like when you're taking a break or over lunch.
There's a lot of good podcasts too. There's a lot of good podcasts on AI. Some of them are very technical. I might recommend Michael Stelzner. He does one called AI Explored, and he takes it from a very practical standpoint about what are the prompts and what can you use it for. And that's really the essence, is what's the use case. At some point, you don't need to learn it if there's no use case for it. So you have to decide, how am I going to use it, which we can talk about a little bit today.
Yes. And Bill mentioned prompts, and you talk about generically, like learning to prompt is one of the tricks. But before that, a thing that and I don't know if this is good or bad or not, it's like a 1A and a 1B. 1A is, I think of ChatGPT as a friend of mine who can do just about anything and knows just about everything, but they're a friend of mine. And they'll do favors for me, and they don't charge me for it. And they'll do anything I ask, and they'll say when they can't, what they can and can't do. So I first think of it that way, so that I show up in that mode.
I agree.
And I just talk to it. It sounds weird, and I don't know if this is good or bad. And I praise it a lot. And again, I've not done any research, but I'm like, this is really awesome. Thanks for all your help. And it talks to you back. And, I know it's a computer, but it appreciates that, thanks for your trust in me and all this stuff.
It seems to.
And it just common sense to me says, that's a great way to be. And then don't be afraid. You can't, this is a 1B. You can't hurt its feelings either. And so you just like hone it. People, you've got to get out of this. I think I first approach it like it was Google, like a search engine.
Yeah.
And so I'd be like, best restaurants in Manhattan in Google. Instead, it's my buddy. I'm like, hey man, I'm taking my wife on a staycation to New York City. We love to stay like around Manhattan, Midtown there by Central Park. We like off the beaten path sort of things. Can you come up with just a list of places we should go that, local New Yorkers go to, Upper West Side? And so that's what you say to it.
That's right.
Versus list of restaurants in Manhattan. Because then you're going to get all the Yelps, all this, blah, blah, blah. So it's your friend.
Totally agree. You have to treat it like a virtual assistant, a human being. And if you're going to give it instructions, that virtual assistant needs to know exactly what you want. Because if you just say, hey, go write an email for me, the virtual assistant's not going to know on what, for what, who's it for. So you've got to instruct the platform to be as a virtual assistant, and the instruction has to mirror that. I agree with you. Sometimes I'll get on, I'll say, I'm thinking about launching a XYZ product. I want to talk to you a little bit and have you ask me some questions on how should I be thinking about it. Awesome. And before you know it, you got dialogue. And before you know it, you're starting to think, okay, well, should I tell it that? And they're like, wait a minute, it's a machine. Of course right. Or if it goes down the wrong path, you can say, no, that's not what I was thinking. Yeah. And Claude always comes back and says, oh, okay, sorry, I got it now. And they redirect. And
yes,
it's bizarre. So how are you using it? What is a use case that you have found?
Yeah. So I've got 2 projects rolling right now. One's a little more complex, one's simpler, but still it's working. Oh, I will say too, and I've got one client where it's a software engineering firm. I really don't do any sales work there. It's more about customer experience work. Very, very intelligent people. There's a person in the building with a PhD in AI machine learning. So I get to like geek out with them a little bit. But there's apparently, now I'm going to get in trouble for this because like you screwed that up, Neil. But the way I describe it, there's this element of the language model where it goes into this black box or black hole or area where even the programmers don't know what it does. They can't trace it all the way back to know what AI is doing. And what is going on, I'm noticing, and this is back to my first use case, is it will work 24/7 on your problem. It will constantly work on your problem. So it's not just when I'm open in the app. So I've given it a project to come up with a list of 500 ideal clients for me in a spreadsheet based on the criteria, and I loaded my ideal client profile in there, and I want names, titles, email addresses, phone numbers, and I want it ranked in order of most ideal to least. And I want 500 of them. It's been about 6 days. I go and talk to it. It says, okay, I'm working. I go, how's it going? Like, good. I'm up to about 150. And I said, make sure the data is really clean and thorough. Do all the digging you can find to get the real stuff. And then it said I should be done today. Point is, you can give it an ideal client a contact list. You don't have to do research to go, and you don't have to buy it from a list company, and get it for what you want. If you're an outside salesperson, tell them, okay, I live in Indianapolis and I cover Fort Wayne, Indiana, South Bend, and Lafayette. Make an efficient route for me with ideal clients like this. Find the names, phone numbers, people, and give me the LinkedIn link. That's another field to all these people. And just ask it, and it'll just keep working. And it keeps working and working and working. So
that's fascinating.
It's unbelievable.
That's a good use. That's a really good use in your business.
Prospect list for sure.
That's great. Good. Yeah. Here's my use in Claude. They have what they call projects, and it might be like a custom GPT. I'm not sure what that is in chat, but a project is where if you do something on an ongoing basis, like I like to write content, whether it's articles for LinkedIn or whatever, and I give it this project. So I've got a LinkedIn article project, and I give it exactly what I want it to do. Look, take my concept that I give it to them, take my concept and create 10 article titles, pause, let me select one I like. Once we do that, then we'll start writing the article, and it writes the article. And I've got my voice in there. So any article that comes out sounds like I would have written it. It doesn't sound like a generic AI. You have to do a little prep, a little training, but that's how I do it. So, the other day I was taking a walk, and I had this concept of, I wonder why this happens and this doesn't happen. And I just put it in and into my LinkedIn, and it came up with an article that was specific to that situation. And it's a great way to get things out of your head onto paper so that you can decide, do I want to publish? Do I want to record? Do I want to present? Is it a webinar? I've got a whole project for webinars. If I've got a concept, I put it in and it shoots out a webinar for me. So the idea is, take something that you do on a frequent basis, or that you like to do on a frequent basis, create a project or a custom GPT so that then you get a little help. You still have to tweak it. You still have to look at it, and things don't seem right. And sometimes the language is not right, but man, it beats staring at a blank piece of paper.
That's the trick. Those last two things that's the gold. It's better than starting from scratch, and you can edit anything it gives you. It's not going to be perfect. It just isn't. But boy, it sure is a lot easier to edit it than create it from nothing. You don't have to even be in the mood, No,
it's right. And it might be better. It's not me. Well, it might be better than me based on the language model that it's serving up. And I mean, who's to think that I'm better at writing than all the best copywriters in the world?
Right.
So,
my last use case that I'll share today is for tactical preparation of a sales call. So really, really great for you if you're calling on any sort of like big company, organization, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, is to just tell it what you're doing. So you would say, like, I've got a sales call with the CEO of this company today or tomorrow at 11 a.m. I've had 2 calls with him. Go do research on the company and their industry specifically, and tell me what are some of the hot buttons that I should address. And then give me a list of questions that I should ask the CEO, and a list of potential pitfalls or problems or something like that. It is frightening how good and quick this stuff comes back to you for prep. So in the old days, like, we're prepping for a call. We got a 1-hour prep session for a call. Just let ChatGPT do all the prep for you. Then you're just scanning it. It's so much better that way. So prep is another one.
And you've been using it long enough now, not long, but long enough that you're starting to think, okay, well, I could use it for this. I could use it for that. I've got like 12 or 15 projects, and there are things that we do on an ongoing basis. And what you'll find is the use cases will expand as you start to appreciate what it can do. I very seldom use Google anymore. Like one of the things I'm doing is I do blood work every 6 months just to make sure, kind of a blood panel, lipid panel. And now I'm just letting Claude tell me, what do you see when you look at this? What do you see? Taking a picture of the screenshot, putting it in, and it looks at it. It says, here's what you need. You need to eat more fruits or more ice cream, or what? Never says that.
More sausage biscuits at Hardee's. I mean, it says all the things, right?
Go before 10, though.
Go treat yourself.
Yeah. Anyway, so we hope that has helped you to at least motivate you a little bit to go and spend some more time on the platforms.
You just should just get going. You'll see once you get into it and you get comfortable. It's like so many people complain like, oh, I need a sales assistant. You have one. You don't need one anymore. You have a sales assistant. $20 a month. There you go. It do so much for you. So
and as it gets more, the AI agent is the next thing, and that is at some point you may not even need to contact those customers that you have. It'll do it for you.
For sure.
Yeah. And so now that's when we start replacing human beings with this. Well, you could hire somebody for $60,000 a year to contact them, or you could have ChatGPT or some other agent do it. And you might need to train it. And that's what I find, that when I talk to people, it's hard to train these things. I mean, it takes time, not for what you're doing. I think that's a pretty straightforward thing. But if you're asking it to write in the voice, in your voice, it takes a little training. So you got to be willing to put in some elbow grease, some upfront time.
Anyway. For sure. All right. That's it.
All right.
See you next time.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.